Welcome everyone to another edition of Play It Through, and on this edition it's Zelda, the Wand of Gamelon, brought to us by Nintendo and Phillips. Due to a partnership between Nintendo and Phillips that would eventually fall apart while trying to develop a CD add-on system to the Super Nintendo, Phillips was able to secure the rights to Zelda and Mario to create some third-party titles of their own. Phillips would then go to hire other developers to make 3 different Zelda games as well as a Mario title. Animation Magic was the company responsible for creating this game Zelda, the Wand of Gamelon, and its partner game Link, the Faces of Evil. While many may not have heard of these games when they were initially released, during the age of the internet these games have become infamous for not only how bad they are, but also their hysterically laughable cutscenes. So here we go with Zelda, the Wand of Gamelon for the Phillips CD-I. Now, the controls for Zelda Wand of Gamelon and Link Faces of Evil are beyond the word stiff. They are some of the most frustrating controls to ever get used to in a video game, and due to this and the game's overall difficulty, it's not really a question of when you're going to die, but just maybe how many times you are. This is one of those games where there will be plenty of deaths. The game utilizes only a couple of the buttons that the controller is capable of doing. The Phillips CD-I and other systems that also were able to play CD-I games for Phillips have some pretty clunky controls overall. Due to this, most of the controls are relegated to just 2 buttons along with the D-pad. This makes things extremely frustrating to deal with, and we'll get into more on that after we watch the amazing opening cutscene.
Zelda, Duke Onkled is under attack by the evil forces of Ganon. I'm going to Gamelon to aid him.
But Father, what if something happens to you?
I'll take the Triforce of Courage to protect me. If you don't hear from me in a month, send Link.
Impa?
Don't worry, Zelda. The Triforce of Wisdom promises the king will safely return.
Enough. My ship sails in the morning. I wonder what's for dinner.
Oh boy! I'm so hungry, I could eat an Octorok!
A whole month gone, and still no word.
I'm certain he's all right.
Yeah, that old Ganon's no match for the king.
Link, go to Gamelon and find my father.
Great! I can't wait to bomb some Dodongos!
Wake up, Impa. We're going to Gamelon.
All right, dear. I'll get the Triforce of Wisdom.
Once we have control of the Triforce logo on the main screen, you can then select where you would like to go. This is actually one of the more intuitive parts of the game, being able to move the cursor around and select the place you want to go, and we're going to be starting with Aru Anu up in the upper left corner of the map. The gameplay is actually similar to Adventure of Link, the second Legend of Zelda game, using more of a side-scrolling action-type gameplay, but the controls right off the bat will start to frustrate you almost immediately. You have to use up on the D-pad in order to jump. This alone would be difficult if it wasn't already for the game being so stiff. You'll attack with one button and use items with the other, however also going through doors uses that same button, so consistently we'll end up using items or going through doors when we're trying to do vice versa. Now we start off in this area and we're going to drop down here and take out the Dodongo down below. Takes a lot of hits to take out the Dodongo, and if you're too close to him when attacking, he'll just open his mouth a couple of times and you'll be gone. There's no invulnerability time in the game, and because of this, this is what makes deaths so frequent and frustrating as well. After grabbing the key from the Dodongo in that little area, we're going to go over to this hut on the right side. You can talk to the person inside in order to get the magic cloak, which you do need in order to defeat a boss coming up.
But monsters know better than bothering me. Here's a shroud that scares the wraps off Gibdo.
I must warn ahead of time now, because I am playing on an actual Phillips CD-I, load times can be a little bit tricky, as well as there will be one cutscene that we won't be able to watch due to the game skipping out on me. After completing Aru Anu, you hit a Triforce map at the very end of the level. This is the key to unlocking new areas in the game. You'll hit this at the end of an area, in which case you'll then be taken back to the world map. For completing the first area we did, we unlocked Taigoki Tower, which we won't be traveling to for a little while in the game. Our next stop is Sakado, where we're going to be gaining a ton of rupees. The rupees in the game work as the red ones are worth 1, the green ones are worth 5, and the blue ones are worth 10. Very much different from your average Legend of Zelda game, and the rupees are more important in this game than probably any other, because not only do you need to buy such items like bombs, lamp oil, and ropes, you also need to worry about having the rupees in order to use other items, such as the power glove, or the magic cloak that we're going to use later that helps us jump over large gaps. Like I said, deaths will be frequent, and my first goal here in Sakado is to earn a ton of rupees. So, I'm going to stand here and move back and forth, taking on the Darias as well as the Apagos, and just keep doing that until I have a lot of rupees. After collecting a ton of rupees, we're now going to enter the shop in the very first door that we come to in the village. Here you can talk to the shopkeeper if you want, but you're just going to get, well, another pretty funny cutscene.
Course I'm on your side, but I still have to sell the stuff. Just pick what you want. I'll handle the rubies.
In order to get through areas of the game, you need a ton of ropes. So I'm going to buy 2 sets of bombs, a bunch of rope, and a few things of lamp oil. Once I've done so, I'm then going to leave the shop. At any time, if you want to switch what item you currently have equipped, you have to duck down, then press button number 2. That'll pull up your menu. This way you can see your current rupee count, as well as switch items. Now next up, we're going to stop into the second building. Now I don't have the actual lantern yet, so I can't technically see what's going on as far as the background and all. But to the left, there is a rope that I'm going to climb up and take out the moblin up above. The keys will then start to attack me a few times. After a couple of little jumps and I get high enough, I'm then going to use rope in order to get to the top level and then enter a door that's located there. I've played this a lot of times, so I already know how to get through all the areas while in the dark, but this is the only area I will be completing in the run that I don't have the lamp prior. Entering the door at the top, you'll be in a room with a ton of keys that are gonna kill me here, as well as the upgrade to the sword, the first upgrade to the sword. You start off with the default sword that can only attack. With the upgrade we get here, we're gonna be able to shoot a beam out, but only when we have full health. And then last but not least, later on in the game, we're gonna get another power-up, which will allow us to fire the beam no matter what our health is. Now here I'm going to let my health run out once again from the keys, and this way it'll take me back to the world map. Now you have unlimited continues in the game, but once you enter an area, you only have 3 lives to get through the area or else you'll be taken back to the world map. While most areas are easily beatable without having to worry about the lives, the thing about it is the last area of the game especially can be a bit of a grind even with those 3 lives. Before I actually go to the next area though, I will jump back into Sakado, and I'm going to travel over to the far right and get another item. This item is optional, you don't need to get it in the game, but it'll allow us to talk to another NPC in the next area we're going to for a cutscene that, unfortunately, is the one that doesn't load properly for me. I think the only real enjoyable thing though about this game in general is the cutscenes, because they are funny, they are laughable, and overall, yes, they may not be that amazing, but the animation for its time isn't that terrible for a game like this.
Oh, just a minute. Isn't it lovely? Bring some fairy dust and I'll make it a magic cloak.
After talking to the woman there, we're then going to climb up to the top floor and then go through the window here. Once outside in the other part of the town, basically Sakado's broken up into 2 areas. In this second area, we're going to go to the door right next door. You'll be in a small hallway with 2 doors. When you walk over to the right one, a Daria will appear from the left door, in which case he will attack you immediately. Just go through the door, or you can backtrack if you want to and take him out. Now this room, another one of those really troublesome rooms, as it's filled with the Apagos. These flying guys are a huge pain, especially here, because they just keep coming in while you're trying to climb up. The jumping and climbing in the game is extremely difficult, as is everything here. you're gonna find yourself falling off of the ledges consistently and having to climb back up all the way. The ropes negate a lot of this, because you can just use a rope to get up to a higher platform without having to do the little short jumps. The problem is, since the ropes cost a decent amount of money, and you'll have to backtrack to Sakado consistently to re-buy ropes in case you run out, this makes choosing what jumps you actually attempt and which ones you just skip altogether with the ropes one of the many strategies of playing Wand of Gamelon. Once you're finally able to get up here and you've survived all the Arpagos attacks, you'll be able to grab an egg that's sitting in the nest. Kinda makes sense why all the Arpagos are trying to actually kill you, because you are stealing one of their precious eggs, but still, they didn't have to be so mean, did they? Now our goal is actually to head back out of the town, but since there's no easy way to just exit the town, we're just gonna let the Arpagos finally have what they've been trying to do all along, take us out, and we're just gonna let the continue screen go down until we get back to the actual main menu and can select the next area we're going to travel to. If you're wondering how to get out of Sakado naturally, in the shop that we went into, and unfortunately that is the only place in Sakado to get back out to the world map without dying. Now in Kobatan, our goal is to take out some moblins along the way, grab a key, the lantern, as well as we can talk to a woman in the town in order to give her the Arpagos egg in order to get the flute. Like I mentioned earlier, this is the optional part of the town, as the flute honestly is one of my least used items in the game. There's two paths here. We're going to take the upper path. Watch out, be careful of these moblins as they are relentless, and then you're going to enter into this door. While this area is also dark, it's a little bit easier to navigate. Just walk all the way over to the right where you see the enemy trying to walk at you. This is actually a Vire. Yep, one of the enemies from Adventure of Link, the ones that can transform, this is one of those here. Anyway, you want to grab the key above him by using a rope to climb up easily, and then backtrack out of the room. As soon as you start walking, you will be attacked by moblins, and there's two right on top of one another, so you have to be careful. Then you want to travel back down to the very bottom, and head all the way over to the left, ignoring the first door for now, instead entering the second door, and you're probably going to immediately be taken out by the moblins that are located here. While a normal moblin spear only does 1 heart of damage, the ones in here, well, they do a heck of a lot more. And immediately you're going to be attacked as soon as you enter the room with them. Each moblin spear inside this room takes away a full heart, and because of that, I do end up losing 2 lives as I try to get to the top of the ladder in order to take out the second moblin. I'm sure if you really wanted to wait and jump around a lot, you may be able to get through this area without taking any damage, but it's really tough to do so. Once you have the lantern, exit back out of the room, and we're going to head over to the right and enter that door we previously passed. Sometimes it'll take a little bit longer than other times in order to load the areas. Like I said, that's the trouble with using an old school Phillips CD-I for this. The woman inside here will just take the Arpagos egg that you have from your inventory. She'll just crack it open and eat it right there in front of you, and then also give you the flute in exchange. Unfortunately, this is the cutscene that doesn't work, and because of that, it does ask me to clean my disc and try again. But trust me, there's nothing wrong with the disc.
Is dirty. Try ending the game and cleaning
Thankfully
the disc.
though, if for some reason the game messes up when you get one of the cutscenes, instead of actually sending you all the way out of the game, which is what normally happens in case the game doesn't load on any of the other screens that aren't cutscenes. Here, you just miss the cutscene, and then you get right control of Zelda again. Once we have that flute though, we're going to climb up the stairs and hit the scroll with the Triforce up here. This will take us back out to the map and unlock a new area, Ahitaru. But that's not where we're going to be traveling yet. Now, where we're going to head, though, is we're going to go back to Sakado and take out the first official boss of the game. While I guess the Vire here could be considered kind of a little mini-boss, since, well, that's the only Vire that appears in the entire game. Once back in Sakado, our goal is to once again head all the way over to the right. Thankfully, every time you re-enter Sakado from the world map, you end up getting the Darias that give you the green rupees to respawn. And in this game, you can never quite have enough rupees. Once out back to this part of the town, ignore the door that we had previously gone into, and then you want to enter the door with a cross over it. Equip your bombs prior to entering the room. This will just be a little bit easier. Like I said before, you have to be away from the door in order to use an item. If I try to throw the bomb right away, I'll just enter right back through the door. Either way, use the bomb on the skull wall just to the left of you and it'll explode. Then travel over to the left side and grab the key. This is the key that we're going to need in order to unlock the church that we're going to be traveling to next. The ghosts here consistently keep respawning, and because of that, they're going to take me out, which actually isn't really a bad thing because I'll have full health going into the church area. Right to the right of where we are, we can now enter the church. I'm going to equip the lantern before heading inside because it is a dark area. We then get a cutscene with our first boss.
For the dead shall rise, and the living shall be their slaves. She must be stopped.
Once you gain control of Zelda, walk to the left a little bit and then use the lantern so you can see. The objects actually in this area, the background with the giant organ, is actually quite nice for this game. We're going to use the rope to get ourselves all the way up here, and then use another one, and we can thankfully climb a chain. Be careful climbing all the way up here because the Gibdo is waiting for you at the top and he'll instantly kill you if you run into him. Equip the shroud and just throw it at him, and that's it.
The shroud! It's gone!
Yep, all the bosses in the game are taken out with a single item or a single hit with your sword. Kinda pathetic in a lot of ways, but that's just how it goes. Now we're gonna go to Washubi Swamp for the first time. Like I've already mentioned several times how frustrating the game is, well this is definitely one of the most frustrating parts. Our goal is to get through two big swamp areas, and if we fall into the water-like area that's not on top of a tree, we end up instantly losing a life. So what our first goal here is going to be jumping on the alligator, and we're going to ride the alligator all the way to the right to the first island we come to, then jump off and try to jump past all the enemies and get to the second crocodile. Once we're on him, we're going to ride for a bit, but after he's going to end up getting after this tree, we're going to jump off on to the island of this one. Then, we can use a rope in order to get up, and be careful because you can fall off the branch at the end very easily. So you're going to want to do a short jump, even though you're going to hit your head on the ceiling, in order to make it to the island safely. Now, this next part is not necessarily recommended. It's one of the trickiest jumps I'm going to be doing in the game. Normally, you're going to want to take the actual branches and try to get past the bugs, which is extremely hard. However, there is a shortcut. What you want to do is wait for the alligator to start sinking, and then jump off of him in order to get over to the next gator. And it may have looked easy when I just did it, but trust me, it takes exact precision on that, and the game can still mess up. Just the way the screen is currently scrolled can be enough to cause you to fall. Anyway, you're going to safely land on this log and then go up and enter the door up here. Now there's a guy in here that we're going to talk to. You don't need to talk to him now, but he still has a cool cutscene.
Aren't you a mite puny to go up against Ganon?
I'll do all right.
That's the spirit. Bring some Hanuspore if you want a bit more punch.
Once the cutscene is over with him, just hit the scroll over to the right side. We have to go through the swamp first in order to unlock the next area, Hanyu Forest. And then we have to go through the forest in order to unlock another area that we're going to be traveling to. Basically, we need a mushroom located in this forest, and since we couldn't get to the forest prior to going through the swamp, we're going to have to travel back through the swamp once we get done the next two areas. This area isn't too bad. There are the enemies that are going to be trying to hit you on the ground, the bots. These little guys just move along slowly on the ground. The only thing weird about them is if you try to jump over them, some of them immediately home in to the back of you. And if they hit you, they actually end up not only doing damage, but actually propel you forward a little bit. Kind of a weird thing, just the way the overall reaction of them is. In this area here, I'm going to try to jump over the one on the bottom, but I end up going up top. This is another common problem you're going to find in certain spots in the game. Because of the way the background is, and the different levels you can jump to, you're going to end up causing yourself to go up and down when you necessarily may not want to. Either way, we're going to get past him and grab the mushroom spore that's located over here, and then jump up to the top level. There's a couple other guys trying to take us out while we're doing this. Be sure to jump over the little gap here. We can ignore the woman down below. We're actually going to be coming back later and talking to her once we get a different set of items. Hit the scroll at the end, and you're going to end up going to the fairy pool.
We have frozen the fountain of life.
Oh, that was good. We have made evil.
Let's bring the darkness down.
The fairy pool is another one of the dark areas, so you want to use the lantern to help you see. Now these witches can kill you instantly. Yep, one hit from the witch and you're dead. I'm able to take out the first one, but the second one will end up getting me. I'll have to walk back through the area a little bit in order to get back to where she is. Thankfully, the good thing about this place is it's actually quite small, so that definitely helps when you get killed by one of the witches on the right side. Here I'm just going to do my little bit of backtracking up and back over to the right in order to take out the witches. The key, of course, is going underneath their projectile. The one in the upper right corner is actually probably the toughest one in order to hit. I'm going to equip my rope this time ahead of getting to the witches down here. Take out the one on the far right and then use one of my ropes by jumping up here so that I'm at the edge of this branch. Thankfully, I get very lucky that my shield actually blocked her projectile, which is something that almost never happens in the game. Consistently, even though you do have a shield, and heck, you even get an upgraded shield later on, it constantly misses.
We're free. You saved us. Here's a life heart and some fairy dust. Have some water of life.
After killing the last witch, we get that cutscene, then we can talk to the fairies in order to not only get a heart to our heart meter, so thankfully we now have 4 hearts to our total health. We also get water of life, which replenishes our health overall, and later on we can actually bottle it in a canteen that we'll be getting from an area. And then last, we're going to be getting the fairy dust. Now, the fairy dust is the only thing I won't be using, really, as you have to go back to the woman who knits inside of Staccato, who gave us the cape to begin with, in which case she will then make it into the magic cloak, and this gives us invisibility for a short period of time. Just like the flute, which I don't know if I mentioned, but freezes enemies in the sky for only a few seconds, they end up being the 2 most worthless items. Now, we're going back to the swamp since we have that spore from earlier, so we're going to be taking the same exact path we did before. Once you make it back through the second screen, we're going to go back into this hut, and now we're going to talk to the blacksmith guy again. He's going to give us now the power glove. And yep, it's still so bad.
You're back! Now give me your glove.
Hey!
Don't worry. Here.
A power glove. Great!
With the power glove in our possession, we're now going to hit the scroll once again and head back to the map. Now, the power glove is one of the most useful items that we're going to be using in the game. It costs 10 rupees in order to do it, but what it ends up doing is destroying the skeleton walls that I had to destroy with a bomb earlier. It also can kill certain enemies when you use it near them, and it also destroys boulders. The first of which we're going to be seeing in this area, which is the reason why we didn't travel here earlier. Now, you can complete this area earlier on in the game if you want to. The problem is, in order to destroy the same boulder that easily is destroyed with just one use of the power glove, takes 10 bombs in order to destroy it normally. Now here there are some flying bug-like enemies that are going to be coming at you. These boons are a little bit of a pain, and when we get to the cave over here, we're going to equip a bomb. A Goma is going to be waiting for us right on the other side of this cave, so fire the bomb as soon as you get away from the door. It'll instantly kill the Goma. Normally with Gomas you would think an arrow to the eye, but this game actually doesn't have a bow or arrows to use. Outside here, there's another Goma. If you want to take out the Goma, you can for another 10 rupee spot, but we're not going to worry about that. Instead, head along the top, and then when you get to the edge, you're going to have to do a big jump. This is another one of those tricky jumps, and then you can talk to the woman down here if you like.
Nice jump over the Goma pit. Here, have a drink.
Thanks.
Hey, there's a fisherman trapped in the fish head.
Really?
While she doesn't give us an item, she does replenish our health. And then we're going to continue over to the right and destroy this boulder using the power glove. Inside is going to be a fisherman that we're going to talk to, who will actually end up helping us out later, as well as another one of the scrolls that we use to get back to the world map and unlock a new area.
Thanks, you saved me. That's the last time I'm going fishing. See you in Sakado.
Once you get back to the world map, you now want to go over to the far right of it and go to Taigogi Tower. This was actually one of the first places we unlocked earlier on in the title, but now we're actually going to go there. When you first get here, you're going to see Impa up above. If you really want to jump up, you can talk to her, but it's really not going to benefit you. Instead, start working over to the right, watching out for the Octoroks. They have pretty much pinpoint accuracy when it comes to firing rocks at you. Take out the one, at least here, before trying to use a power glove in order to destroy the next boulder blocking this gate. Once you have destroyed the rock, head inside, and you're going to end up meeting the baker over to the left, so talk to him.
Come on, hurry! It's awful! Mayor Cavendish has been chained in the tower! Oh, my cakes! Come see me in Sakado!
Then, of course, you're going to pick up the key that he ends up dropping, and I'm going to end up losing a life intentionally here. Once I've come back, I'm then going to use the lantern so I can actually see where I'm traveling inside of here, and then climb up a rope. Now, this is a rather difficult area. The hands from the walls, the wall masters, can consistently keep hitting you, and they have some really weird detection. When you get up to the top here, you're immediately attacked by a soldier, and because of this, it can be difficult even climbing up because they spawn pretty much exactly when you get up on the same platform that they are. There's one last one here, but unfortunately I lose a life because he hits me so many times, so fast, I only have one hit left by the time I can actually move again, and when I do, I end up getting taken out by that last wall master. So, I have to go through the room one more time, but this time I'm going to go through it mostly just going in the dark, as it's actually easy for me, because I know where most of the platforms are from how many times I've played. Take out this enemy here, and jump over, then jump back up to the staircase that we had done earlier, and now back to the platform with the guy. Thankfully, right where that wallmaster killed me is the door I need to go through.
You dare defy me? You will die.
Guess again, Iron Knuckle.
The Iron Knuckle is our next boss in the game, so equip the power glove and then climb up. Just like other bosses, he'll kill you instantly, but if you use the power glove, you'll be able to defeat him.
He's dead. Let's get out of here.
Once you have control of Zelda once again, be sure to pick up the key that he drops and then go through the locked door down below. Inside here, you're going to end up running into the mayor who's currently chained up. So what you have to do is jump up just barely above the mayor and attack the chains. If you do so correctly, you'll free him.
Ouch! Thank you, Princess. I managed to conceal this magic lantern. I hope it can be of use.
For freeing the mayor, he ends up giving you the magic lantern, and the magic lantern works the same as the regular lantern, but it allows you to light up areas for a little bit longer. Now, before we're going to be able to continue, we're going to have to purchase some more items. Thankfully, we do have plenty of rupees to do so, but we have to head back to Staccato and go back into the shop. Here, I'm going to be mainly focusing on buying some rope and a little bit more lamp oil before heading out of this area. Like I said, you constantly need ropes in the game. Now, I checked my inventory here just to see how many rupees I still have left, and I'll pick up one more lamp oil and one more rope before now getting ready to go to the next area, which is going to be a ship located at the top of the screen, the Gobian ship. When you get control of Zelda here, we're going to head all the way over to the right. You can go down, I think, earlier, but with the alligators that you're going to try to jump across, it's just best to go all the way over and then go to the last ones. It's hard enough to jump in this game, let alone between moving platforms like the alligators are. If you're wondering, this is actually one of the Zolas in the game. Well, this is what they represent the Zolas as. Not very amphibian-like. So I honestly had no idea what they originally were when I first saw them. Either way, we jump from one alligator to the next and then into the opening on the giant ship. Once in here, some ghosts and skeletons are going to immediately start attacking you. Jump up to the top level and you're going to see a little hatch open up this other little platform and go inside. Once you've made it up here, you're going to be working your way up to the top of the ship itself. And in order to do so, we're going to be climbing up a whole bunch of ropes. I'm going to climb up this first one all the way to the right, then don't go up the next one to the right. Instead, head over to the left side. There's going to be a lot of ghosts, so take out a few of them here and there so that you won't be able to get ganged up on and lose a lot of health. I'm going to use a rope and then climb up here, and what you're going to want to do is not what I did, falling down. Instead, jump up in the air to get the screen to scroll upwards. That way, you'll be able to use another rope and grab the Arpagos feather on the top of the ship. Then, go to the right, grab the key, and then start dropping down the ship, or you can fall off the other edge and lose a life. Either way, you want to get back to the beginning of this area and head back through the opening. Once back into the main part of the ship, just head over to the right. There's going to be a door there, in which case you can enter, and inside will be the next item and the whole reason why we're coming to this ship. Inside here is the reflecting shield. The reflecting shield is the upgraded shield, and while it doesn't block anything any better than the regular shield, what it does is it reflects certain projectiles back, and we need it only for one boss that we're going to be fighting later on in the game. After leaving the ship, we're going to go back to Hanyo Forest, where we got that Hanyo spore much earlier on in the game. When we return here, our goal is to talk to the old woman that we didn't talk to before, who ends up upgrading our shroud this time around, since we now have gotten the Arpagos feather. Just like the first time we traveled through this area, we're going to have to be careful of the bots, or the weird slime-like bugs that are moving along the trees, until eventually we can make it to the far right tree and go through the opening. Since we've already been here one time before and we already had gotten the spore and all, we don't have to take the bottom path when we go through the second area. Instead, we can just take the top path. And as you can see, when I do some of the short jumps here, the bots are right up on me and even push me a little bit forward. The only real problem is when a flying enemy comes from the other side and I try to jump, the bot ends up hitting me one more time. Either way, we're going to drop down here and talk to the woman over here.
Greetings, Princess Zelda. Do you have any Arpagos feathers? Good. Then let us make a cape from your shroud. Here, I must be off.
Now that we have the magic cloak in our possession, which allows us to jump over larger gaps, we're going to hit the scroll and go back to the world map. The next area we're going to go to is Doradung Cavern, which is actually the location of another boss, the Gliok, as well as the Heat Crystal, which will allow us to upgrade our sword to its final form. Throughout this area, we're going to have to be dealing with the Jawbees. These flying creatures come in two different forms, the red ones and then the black or blue ones. The blue ones will come at you at only low paths, while the red ones will attack you straight on in front. You'll notice that even though they have to fly on the screen, once they get level with either your legs for the ones or your face with the other ones, they'll then start darting towards you. When you make it over here, you will have to drop down and then enter the cavern, and it's another one of those dark caverns, so be sure to get ready to switch over to your lantern so that you're going to be able to see where you're going. First though, I'm going to walk over here and attack the enemy on the wall that moves up and down and consistently keeps firing fireballs. There's a bunch of these guys in here. We're going to ignore the one on the left side because it's really hard to actually hit unless you're on the platform to my left, which just ends up being a waste. Take out the one right above you after using your rope up here, and then use the new magic cloak to jump over this gap. You can make it normally, but by using the cloak, as long as you have enough rupees, it definitely is easier. We're going to use another rope here just because the jump can be a pain and I usually end up falling a lot, and then go up to the top, and you either want to use the power glove or, if you have any bombs left over, to take out the Gliok. Once he's done, grab the Heat Crystal, and then of course, go through the Triforce scroll on the right side. Now we're going to travel back to Sakado for the last time in the game. If you need to at any point, you can always come back to Sakado when you end up running out of items, which your first time playing the game may be often. Our goal though is to actually travel to the blacksmith who we freed earlier on from that weird fish skeleton that he was trapped in, and he's located at the very end of the entire town. We have to go all the way to the right first on the first area, go through the window again, past the church, and then finally we'll get to the blacksmith's hut. Like I said, this is actually thankfully the last time we're going to have to travel here, especially throughout all this area. Here we finally come to the blacksmith's hut, and now we can get our upgraded sword.
Let's see. That ought to do it. Works pretty good.
Now, instead of just walking all the way back through the other buildings, I'm just going to head over to the far left. There's a little bit of a pier, and you can actually drop down in the water. It's an instant death, but it'll actually be faster than backtracking all the way through the village. After leaving Sakado, we're going to go to the next dungeon known as Dodomai Palace. This is definitely one of the tougher areas. When we start off, you're going to have some new enemies joining the fray. These large ant-like enemies known as dealers will start to attack you. The first one gives you a bigger rupee, while the other ones is just going to give you normal rupees. The dealers are the weird spider-like enemies that were also in Adventure of Link for the NES. When you make it over here, you're going to either want to use the power glove, or, since I have some bombs left over, I'll use one of those in order to destroy the skeleton wall. Then you have to be very careful and fall down onto the crocodile and enter inside of the cave. Now this is another dark area, but if you've used the lantern before and it hadn't quite run out, the area still stays lit. It's another one of those weird things about the game, that the lantern has a certain time limit and only ticks down when you're in areas that need to use the lantern. Either way, we'll make it over to the far right and be able to enter into the gate. In the next room, there's two soldier enemies that are on the top level that we have to take care of. You can either straight up attack them, or you can use a well-placed bomb. Unfortunately, I'm going to end up throwing the bomb that I would use on them over their head, so now I'm just going to take them out with my normal sword attacks. Thankfully, with the beam, I do a little bit more, and I can hit them from a little bit more of a distance, but once they're both dropped, you want to go through the door. Once you make it through, climb up the tattered curtain on the left side and go to the next door. Now this area is a big pain because you have falling rocks on you while you're trying to climb up staircases. While you can try to do your best to climb up, but if you are low on health, you're going to have a big problem trying to make it up here. Even if I wait for the right opportunities to go in between the rocks, as I climb up, it's hard to dodge them, and they can hit you 3, 4, 5 rocks at a time and absolutely demolish your health gauge. Once I do get up here, just to do a little bit of a shortcut, I use a rope in order to make it to this door faster instead of walking all the way to the left side and walking around. When we return a little bit later on, we're going to have to take the long way over. Here we have our next boss, Hectan, who has to be hit directly in the head, and his projectiles do a lot of damage. Jump up into this level, jump over to him and deliver the blow, and watch my favorite cutscene.
You've killed me!
Good.
The unnerving look on Zelda's face when she says good makes this entire game worthwhile, at least in my opinion. After taking out Hectan, we want to go to that right side and free the Duke, who has been held captive.
I know. Strike the head of the portrait to enter Uncle's chamber.
Thanks.
The Duke ends up leaving us a key for us to pick up, and now we have to do some back traveling through Dodomai Palace. We're going to be going back to the room where we climbed up the curtain. Thankfully, when we get back to this room, though, the enemies that we already defeated, they're all gone. They don't respawn on the very bottom part, so we can just work our way towards the door. The next room, we will have to deal with those falling rocks again, and we have to take the long way around. Thankfully, there's a tiny shortcut here that when we climb to the ladder, we can just jump off the ladder. That way we fall all the way down to the bottom without slowly crawling down it. Now you want to climb the staircase, watching out. Just take your time as much as you can. Going down from the falling rocks is a heck of a lot easier than traveling upwards towards them as they fall down. Once you reach the bottom, the next room can go dark, and even if it is dark or goes dark on you, just walk to the right and try to get past the wall master trying to grab you and enter the first door that you see. Once in here, you're going to see a portrait on the top level. You want to get up there and attack the portrait in the face. When you do so, another key magically appears, and you can enter the door right next to it. Inside here, talk to the evil Duke Onkled, and then hit the scroll to his left.
Don't hurt me, Zelda. I'll tell you the secret way into Reesong Palace.
You better talk fast.
Go all the way left and move the rock. This key opens the gate.
I'll make sure he doesn't get away.
Once we're back up to the main map, we're going to be going to the next area, Nokani Forest. In Nokani Forest, we're introduced to another classic Zelda enemy, the Gorias. And the Gorias, at least, are using their trademark weapon in this game, the boomerangs, that they're going to try to throw them at you. Thankfully, we can hit the one in the upper right pretty easy with our upgraded sword, and then we're going to head left. Climb up this level, take out another Goria. You'll have to jump over the rock, which actually can be a little tricky just because of the way the jumping works in the game, and then go through, and you're going to be in an open forest during the daytime. Except you wouldn't know that if it starts off dark, so you're going to have to use the lantern to help you out here. As you can see, well, it's a pretty lit up area. You're not even in a cave as it's opened up. You're going to want to work your way up the large tree. There's bots attacking you as well as another new enemy. These guys aren't so bad, but when they fly towards you, they can kind of gang up on you just like any other flying enemy in the game. The second area is even more lit up than the first area. However, you want to try to hurry through so you don't have to use any more lantern oil. When you reach the top, you want to talk to the old woman who we had met earlier, who gave us the magic cloak, and now she gives us the last lantern.
This light will penetrate the dark around Ganon, but only the wand can defeat him. Good luck!
After talking to her, use the rope to get up to the top of the tree, and then take the scroll out. Once back to the main map, we now have only 2 more areas to go to before the final area. Now we're heading to the Shrine of Gamelon. While being the namesake of the game, it's not the final area we're traveling to. The worst enemies here are the flame wheels. Yep, giant wheels roll down the mountain and light you on fire, and they take away 2 full hearts when they do hit you. While they spawn at specific places, they also spawn at certain intervals. So while you're climbing up, you may not see any, but one may just suddenly appear out of nowhere because of the time intervals. Now, this is actually a good place to use that invincibility invisible cloak that we had gotten earlier on in the game if you had given the fairy dust to that one woman. However, with some skill, you'll be able to get through this area without having to do that. You want to take out the enemies here, and then you want to use the magic cape to get across. Even while using it, you have to be on the very edge of the rock, and unfortunately I wasn't, but I'm still lucky enough to escape the flame wheels that are immediately coming my way. You then want to hurry up and try to avoid the flame wheels that are going to come down here. As you can see, they kind of just appear out of nowhere, and then enter the shrine at the top for the next boss. For this boss, he has a couple of different forms his head takes, but Omfac can only be hit when you hit him while he is in his lip form.
Got him!
Once he's defeated, grab the Wand of Gamelon, and then go through the scroll on the lower left. Yep, we now have the namesake of the entire game, the Wand of Gamelon, which is the only item that can defeat Ganon. We now have only one more area to go to before the final palace, and that is Shatoi Lake, though we will make a quick pit stop to a previous area once we leave this place. Climb up the second ladder, or even the first one, and you want to go into that destroyed looking hut to the right. Inside here, you're going to grab the key. A moblin will randomly spawn once you climb the ladder, but you don't have to really worry about him. Be careful of the Dodongos down below, though this is a decent place to gain rupees if you do want it, because the Dodongos will drop blue rupees every time you defeat them, worth 10. The Arpico is trying for revenge one more time during this area, but we're going to climb up this tree and go through the door on the right. In this area, just drop down the ladder. You can talk to Impa if you want to, but you're just going to get a little bit of useless information overall, and then go through to this area. Drop down to the pier down below and wait a few seconds, and a crocodile will appear so you can jump on his back. And then you're going to have sawfish jump out of the water and hit you. These guys can be extremely difficult to actually land blows on without them also hitting you. Sometimes you can't even hit them at all, but they're going to hit you every time. Watch out for the Zola spitting rocks down below, and then go to the next door. The next room has a bunch of more falling rocks if we didn't get enough in the last place. And because of these rocks, we're going to just fall off to the left side before even attempting to climb up using our ropes. There's a lot of stones to climb up, so there's plenty of opportunity to move around, but even with that it can be difficult because sometimes, like I said, the rocks can just appear out of nowhere and deal a ton of damage. In the next room, it will go dark, but what you want to do is just walk to the edge and fall down, then immediately do a jump over to the right. This is the perfect way to get over so you know exactly where to stand. Here you're going to have some more of these guys coming at you, and you have to take out 2 waves of them, before eventually a moblin will randomly appear after a certain amount of time goes by at the door. Once the moblin appears, kill him and pick up the key. Now, as soon as you go through here, you want to walk a step or 2 left and then duck. Doing so, you'll reflect magic right back at the boss.
Not the disintegration spell!
In case you were wondering, yep, that was a whiz robe in this game. Then you want to use a rope to get up to the top part and go through the door. Here's another one of those skull walls, so you have to use a bomb, which I end up missing with, or just use the power glove. This is another reason why the game's frustrating, because I end up missing constantly where I'm trying to put bombs.
Link told me about you.
You know Link?
Sure, he gave me his canteen for a kiss.
You kissed him?
Here, it's empty anyway.
After talking to Lady Alma, she gives us the canteen that Link took along with him to Gamelon. Now before we go to Reesong Palace, which is the final area of the game, we're going to first go back to the fairy pool. We're going to go here and talk to the fairies. Like I mentioned earlier, if you talk to the fairies or get the water of life from them here, you can actually put it in the canteen. Doing so will give you another full set of hearts whenever you use it. Now it doesn't go off automatically and you actually have to select and use it, but it's extremely useful, especially for the final area.
Water of life.
So now it's time for Reesong Palace, Ganon's lair in Zelda the Wand of Gamelon. This area is extremely difficult. When you start off the area, you want to take out the keys right in front of you. There's going to be a bunch of keys coming at you, one's below you and one's above you. Try to do your best to jump over the ones flying down below you. They're going to eventually catch up and do damage, and it's almost impossible to actually hit them right now. Take out the ones only in front of you, then climb all the way down the ladder. Don't jump off the ladder to the left, because you'll probably end up hitting the fire wheel above you, which is usually something I do often. Now, when you get to this part with all more of the keys, just keep jumping. Yes, you're probably going to get hit a bunch, but this keeps you ahead of the fire wheels, which are going to deal instant death during this part. So then you want to just jump past the soldier and go through the door. Now I have extremely low amount of health, and while I'm going to try to get through here, I'm going to of course end up getting hit by one of the enemies. There's falling rocks, flying enemies, and a Dodongo all trying to get in my way here. There's another one of those rocks that you're going to have to destroy on the very far left of this place. So if you don't have enough rupees coming into this area, because you need 10 to use the power glove, you're going to want to take out the Dodongo, either one, because they will end up giving you one of those blue rupees, which you can then use in order to open up the rock. Here we're going to use the power glove, costing us those 10 rupees, and then go on through. Drop down, take out the spider dealer enemy at the very bottom, and then be prepared to take out the Gorias. Now, as long as you don't go up to the level of the Gorias, they're gonna miss with their boomerangs. So the little bit of a strat here is technically just stand on this level and just jump up and attack them. This way you can actually hit both of them as long as you have the fully upgraded sword, that is, unless you also have full health. Now, the next room is probably the trickiest room in this place. You're going to have these weird floating heads that are going to attack you. What you want to do is actually ignore the one on the bottom. I tried to take him out, but then I quickly realized that, yeah, taking him out just nets another one to spawn, so it definitely isn't worth taking him out. This is another room that does get dark, so I'm just going to use my lantern now in order to light it up, and then use my canteen as well, and then forget about this guy and just use the rope to climb up. Now, there's another floating head up here. This one you actually have to destroy in order to get a key from him. Once you've done so, fly up to the next level and try to do your best to avoid those flying fish-like enemies. Those are some of the worst, because the flying fish hit you, they bounce off, and then they can come back and hit you again immediately. And because of that, definitely they drain your health really fast, and all your health really matters during this final level. Now you're actually right outside of Ganon's room. That room right above us to the left is the room that we need to go to for Ganon, but we can't go in there yet without the key. Now, to get the key, we have to drop down into this well. Go inside the well itself, you're going to fall all the way down to this platform, and now you want to jump over to the right. Don't press the second button there and you try to use an item, because you're going to end up going through the gate, and that's going to be where we're going to be going later. Enter this room up here, which is a relatively tough room. More falling stuff, Goria is immediately attacking you, and a few other enemies as well. And we're trying to do our best to conserve as much health as we can. I'm going to use the rope right here and take out the Goria on both the right and left, since I have the fully charged up beam. Then I'm going to, just for the sake of helping me out, use the magic cape. This way I can pinpoint my jumps a little bit easier instead of risking trying to do the manual jumps and end up falling down to the floor below and having to deal with more spikes. The enemies really here are not the problem. It's definitely the spikes that are going to do more damage half the time than the enemies in the room. Either way, avoid the spikes on our way out and go back through the gate since we now have the key. Once back out here, you want to drop down and go back to that gate that I said don't press 2 on. Now, you're going to want to press 2 on and go through the gate, and you're going to be back in the courtyard area where we first really kind of entered Reesong Palace. Stand still when you first get out here though, because rocks are immediately going to fall to your left, so if you hold left trying to walk out of here, you're just going to run into all those rocks. Inside here is the room with the spider, as well as the 2 Gorias, and yep, because monsters respawn every time you leave a room, you will have to deal with these guys all again. Be careful even when you go through this room both times because of the spikes that do fall, but thankfully there's a good interval between when they fall so you can get through. Now this room we don't have to worry about taking out anything here since we already have the key, and that guy thankfully does not respawn. So use the rope and then climb up the ladder and then get to the top when you can and go through the door. Now we're back outside to that main area right outside of Ganon's room. We're going to try to go through here slowly and carefully and at least get the Ganon without losing another life, as we do have one more life to use. Use the rock on the far right side to climb up to this level, then walk over to the left to the door, and be prepared to face off with the evil mighty Ganon.
You dare bring light to my lair? You must die!
Ganon's going to immediately attack us. We're going to use the lantern right away just to light up his room so we can see, and then we're going to want to equip the Wand of Gamelon. Climb up this ladder right here, and as soon as you get to the top, throw it at him.
The chains! No! You haven't seen the last of me!
And yep, that's it. The final boss for Wand of Gamelon has been defeated. Now grab the key that was located right where he was, and start working your way up to the top here. Now you can still die because spikes fall at the very top of this area. You gotta love it when the game gives you one last opportunity to still lose your last life and you would have to do the whole area again. Thankfully though, if that did happen, Ganon is still defeated when you come back. Now go through the final door, hit the king with your sword, and sit back and enjoy the ending to Zelda, the Wand of Gamelon.
Father!
You saved me!
Here's the traitor, your majesty. Please, your omnipotence, have mercy.
After you've scrubbed all the floors in Hyrule, then we can talk about mercy. Take him away.
Yes, my liege.
I wonder what happened to Link.
Oh, he was a bore anyway.
Stop looking at yourself.
What happened?
Nothing, Link. We were just about to have a feast.
Great!
So there you have it, Zelda, the Wand of Gamelon for the Phillips CD-I. Yep, it's definitely one of the worst Zelda games ever created, and I definitely don't recommend forking out the money to actually try to get a hold of this game. However, it's an interesting piece of Zelda history and Nintendo history in general, and for that, it's worth just taking a look at it, even if it's something like this. Either way, guys, that's going to wrap up this edition of Play It Through. I'd like to thank you for watching, and of course, I hope you enjoyed.